So we will come back for a question and answer session with both Ian and Tamara after our next presentations. But let me now welcome back, actually, Axel Anders, who was with us yesterday as well, for a presentation. So Axel is a co-founder, and partner of the Berlin-based Adolf Hoop Society. And
sorry, Natasha, I think it's first Johannes. Sorry.
My apologies. It seems Johannes is first. Well, never mind. I've already introduced Axel, so you know what's coming up.
Okay.
But we'll have Johannes first then. Okay, so firstly, we have Johannes Eisenbach, who will give a presentation. Johannes is a farmer, an agricultural economist involved in the organic movement since the early 1980s, who relocated to Greece and is going to talk a little bit more about the biocyclic vegan standards. So Johannes, the floor is yours.
Hello, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, dear participants of this webinar, thank you very much for the invitation and the chance to present our experiences in this great topic of plant-based agriculture, and as we call it, biocyclic vegan agriculture. I found the share screen button. I hope it works smoothly. Yes, I think that is the right one here. And now it should be the presentation. Yeah, does it work? Do you see the presentation?
Yes, we can see it. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, let me get you a small introduction. We are living on a unique planet. Probably there is no other place in this universe where life has shown its full complexity and functionality in such a perfection as we see and live it here in the nature of this planet. And we humans are part of this nature. And it seems to be our duty to integrate ourselves and to harmonize our ambitions with the laws of nature. And regarding agriculture, we cannot do anything better than to imitate what nature shows already to how it works. And this is more or less the deeper sense of what we call biocyclic vegan agriculture, because it is all about closing the circle, giving back to nature what it gives to us, and that has to be expressed also in our practices in agriculture. Somebody might ask all of us who are active in plant-based agriculture why we abandon animal husbandry. Just have a look on evolution. It is obvious that the realm of plants has been developed without the presence of animals. Most of the plants are not dependent on the existence of animals. On the other hand, animals developed where plants were present. So it is an error to believe that food production depends on animals and on their manure. And it's a brilliant example what Ian Tolhurst showed us. I'm really excited and enthusiastic about his farm and his way of working. This is exactly what we understand. We are just really on the same way, just to say that. So we had a little bit different approach how to standardize our activities, and we created the biocyclic vegan standard, which has been admitted as part of the family of standards of IFOAM, the International Federation of Organic Agricultural Movements. And as you can see here, these are the standards which have been evaluated by the so-called COROS, it's the Common Objectives and Requirements of Organic Standards throughout the world. And we are here at the global position with the Biocyclic Vegan Standard as the only stock-free organic standard up to now acknowledged by IFOR. That means that this is a standalone standard. It is not just a surplus requirement to an other existing organic standard like Soil Association, but it is a full standard which covers all the scope of an organic standard. Just to mention that the Biocyclic Vegan Standard has become obvious and visible also by officials, by policymakers, by organizations, like here is a publication of a German organization. Just some words about the item Biocyclic Vegan. Biocyclic derives from two Greek words. Bios is the word for life, and kyklos is the word for circle. And so Biocyclic Vegan means a circular agriculture without a deviation through the stomach of an animal. And this is the main purpose, is the restoring and maintaining the healthy cycles of organic matter, exactly as Ian showed us on his farm, which does not depend anymore on any external input, which is really amazing. How can we close these cycles of organic matter? This can be done on 4 different levels. There is the operational level, as we saw it before, leaving plant residues on the field. We can also use compostable plant material from mixed culture, pasture, fallow land, or hedgerows, and so on, as we saw it in the foregoing presentation. The use of organic plant-based waste from food manufacturers is another possibility to close open cycles of organic matter. It's more or less on a regional level. And if we want to close cycles on a global level, we have to include also aquatic ecosystems into the system. For example, like here in the middle, you see algae from the sea, from a seashore, and it's a huge amount what the oceans give back in organic matter, what does not belong to the aquatic ecosystem, but should go back to the land where it came from. The adoption of the Biocyclic Vegan Standard helps agriculture to become part of the solution, mitigating climate change issues. I will come back to this point a little bit later. We can save natural resources just looking on the surfaces which are used at the moment for producing feedstuff for animals, and all these areas could be used for human consumption too. We reduce the water consumption through irrigation, more or less by the techniques we adopt, by covering the soil, by mulching, and by using compost. At the same time, we can increase the groundwater quality due to the use of humus soil, which is another point I will explain you a little bit later. Increase sustainable soil fertility, which is obvious for everybody who's in the practice. We enhance biodiversity, and this can be measured. We have developed the so-called Biocyclic Operation Index, which is a formal index which makes comparable different farms on different locations as to their impact on the natural ecosystem, or otherwise the impact of the natural ecosystem on the farm, and how which measures have to be taken to increase this interrelationship between the farm and its natural surrounding. Of course, it means biocyclic vegan agriculture means respect to animal rights and welfare, and of course, we promote the benefits of plant-based nutrition. There are 9 key points of the Biocyclic Vegan Standard. So the entire operation has to be organic and, of course, Biocyclic Vegan certified. There is no husbandry for slaughtering or other commercial reasons, no fertilizers or other inputs of animal origin. There has to be an evaluation of the biodiversity index, BOI. Traceability system should be in place if something is sold into the market, so that we can trace back to the field and to the farmer directly from reading traceability number. We have in place in all the pack houses we are cooperating with. Year-round technical support to growers is necessary for those who are not which have to be trained. So it would be ideal if people like Ian Tolhurst would multiply their knowledges to a big number of agriculturists, so that they can disseminate this knowledge. Selection of plots without contamination risk. This can be done, for example, also by planting hedgerows and so on, or really looking around what happens in the neighborhood. Social responsibility throughout the whole supply chain is a very important point. It is the crisis of agriculture, more or less, has been created by the injustice between the several parts of the supply chain. And we have to contribute actively to fix these problems. Otherwise, there will be biases with huge impacts on the environment and on human and the environmental health. Soil improvement combined with sustainable carbon sequestration through the systemic use of compost and biocyclic humus soil is another very, very important point. I just jump into another topic, which is the label. So by growing in this way, we have to label the products so that they become visible in the market, so that consumers can recognize that these products have been produced by contributing something more than is normally done in agriculture. There are a lot of labels, but we have to promote our label too, very much, because it is important that we do something good and we have to talk about it. And there the label helps a lot. Of course, the idea of circular agriculture is not new. There are big names of researchers and practitioners throughout the centuries which have exactly the same idea and the same concept. Just to mention some of them, of course, this is not a complete list. Justus von Liebig maybe is also well known as the father of the chemical agriculture, but he is definitely not, because he really understood the importance of organic matter. Sir Albert Howard, who was active in India, found all the tremendous advantages of compost. Hans-Peter Rouge, who is considered the founder of Bioland, the biggest farmers association in Germany, has created this expression of the circuit of organic matter. And Adolf Hobbes is something, I would say, somebody like Ian Tolhurst in England. He was in northern Germany, a pioneer in organic farming, who never had animals on his farm. At his active time, there was not even born the item vegan, so he never used it, but he meant it and he lived it. And one of his central concepts was from healthy soil through healthy plants to humans' health. So I jump over this because probably this will take too much time. It's the history of how from his approaches on his farm, how it developed until we have now the Biocyclic Vegan Standard, acknowledged by IF1. We are encouraging people to create on a local or national level organizations, charities. in order to help farmers to convert from organic to biocyclic vegan or veganic or stock-free farming. Most of these organizations have three central points. There is a green list, which are the agricultural inputs which are allowed in biocyclic vegan farming. It is our aim to be completely independent from any input, but we have to be open for solutions which are compatible with the standard if it is needed. So there is a list, and we are just in talks with FIBEL in Germany, which is a big non-for-profit organization which checks all the available inputs in the market, and they will include in that checklist also the biocyclic vegan standard, so that it's easy to find the right inputs if needed. The Green Compass is the technical support we grant to the producers. I'm connected to you from Greece, and we have here about 40 producers who adopt the biocyclic vegan standard. So we grant them year-round technical support, and we organize educational seminars, the so-called Green Knowledge. And yes.
And so I'll just remind you, maybe if you could just bring this to a close, we're running a little bit short of time.
Okay, the next part is just some pictures. This is what I called, what I told you before, humus soil. Humus soil is something which is derived from a fully ripe compost. We produce this material from olive trees, from olive leaves, and from olive pomace or olive cake. And grape pomace, but it can be produced, of course, by everything. Just to mention that to talk about compost is one thing, but it is a continuous ripening process. And what we found is that if this ripening process holds on for many years, we get a material which has completely different characteristics from a normal compost. There has been done research in the Agricultural University of Athens, where we compared the use of humus soil with fertilizing with conventional fertilizing in sweet potatoes and in industrial tomatoes, and the results were that the yield has more than doubled by using humus soil. So what is humus soil? What are the characteristics? It has a very high nutrient content. All the nutrients are not water soluble, which is very, very important. It has a high water capacity, what has also compost, but it's also humus soil, extremely low electric conductivity, which means that there are no salts available, and a high exchange capacity, which means these nutrients are available for the plants. Therefore, it has immediate fertilizing effects. And as you will see in the photos, it seems that the higher utilization of the natural potential of the plants is possible by using these materials. Just have some look on the compost plant. This is our salad story. It's a Romana salad. This is even not the biggest one. Normally we have up to 2 kilograms per piece. This is Patrick Barham from The Guardian, who visited us and was, so it doesn't suit into a fridge in the normal kitchen. This is our problem, that all the, and Ian will, has told the same, that the fruits become really big in plant-based agriculture, and this has to do with the carbon stabilization of the organic matter in the soil.
Thank you very much, Johannes. I think we're going to have to bring this to a close. Maybe you have one last remark, and then we'll move on to Axel.
One last remark. These are pictures from several crops. We use it also for planting seedlings, and here oranges also. Seminars. And just let me come to the last pictures. So at the moment, biocyclic vegan agriculture takes place in Germany, France, Netherlands, Greece, Hungary, Cyprus, Italy, Switzerland. Also in Austria, Brazil, there is an initiative. South Africa has asked us, Canada, the US, and Nigeria. And of course, the UK is inside, but this is not my task to mention. So we think biocyclic vegan agriculture is a part of tomorrow's organic 3.0 agriculture. And I thank you very, very much for your attention.
Thank you, Johannes. And we'll now move to, I already introduced him actually. So we'll now move to Axel Anders, as I said, the co-founder and partner of the Berlin-based Adult Food Society. He's going to talk a little bit more about the Biocyclic Vegan Network. So Axel, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Now I try to share my screen. Can you see me? And can you see the screen?
Yes, we can see it. Thank you.
So I think I just, many things were mentioned already, so I don't have to talk about the Biocyclic Vegan Standard anymore, but I want to come directly into the form of organization, which is the Biocyclic Vegan Network, the International Biocyclic Vegan Network, and what the standard, how certification works, and how this can be applied globally. So we heard the name Adolf Hobbes, who gave big inspiration for the biocyclic vegan farming, and actually in 2017 we created a company which is called the Adolf Hobbes Gesellschaft in German. It's Berlin-based, as a standard and label organization, because this was a private ownership of the label and of the standard, and we wanted to have it in a kind of organization which has a non-profit orientation. And so we created this label organization, and it was founded in Berlin, and it is named after Adolf Hobbes, whom we have already seen in the picture. So the idea is not to be non-profit. For the time, it's like a limited company, but when it grows, we hopefully one day will have it as a charitable foundation, so it can be really a neutral organization to be the guarantor and the anchorage of the biocyclic vegan standard. It is today the editor and who has also copyright of the standard, and it is the supporting institution for a standard commission, because also, like Tamara said, a standard, organic or veganic standard always has to adapt it to new challenges, to new situations. So there has been established a standard commission, which officially is set up with the constitution, and they come together and they deliberate about changes, or also if there are crucial questions coming from the field when there is an inspector and he doesn't know the solution. So this has to be decided by the standard commission. But also the Adolf Hobbes Society owns the quality seal, which you see down there in the right side, which is the label which is used to label all the products. And also it is kind of the coordinating body for the International Biocyclic Vegan Network, which is working worldwide and coming into place gradually. Let's first talk about the label. It's the Biocyclic Vegan Quality Seal. And the idea, Johannes already mentioned it, it is important that there is a visibility. It's not so important if you have a small farm which works in a community, which in its environment, people have confidence. But as soon as you work through the big markets, through supermarkets, or through the food processing companies and all along the supply chain, then there needs to be a strict control and a label which proves that this product has really been grown not only organically, but also according to vegan principles. This is very important for the consumers. And for this, the label is there and can be applied now, not only on the products from the farm, but on all processed products, which can be shown and declared as veganic as well. For this, you need inspection on the farm by an inspection body. You need a certification process, and then you can use the label. So just let me show a bit about the certification scheme. As I said, the Adolf Hobbes Society is the basis, the foundation for the certification, but the Adolf Hobbes Society is not a certification body. I said also the Biocyclic Vegan Standard Commission helps in setting up the standard, but the most important part in this is a certification body, and there is a company, a German company, Ceres, which is an organization which is working globally and which supervises certification, organic certification worldwide. And we have mandated the certification process to this company, Ceres. And they have to work together with local control bodies. So if there is a certification taking place in Italy or in South Africa or wherever, they get in contact with their own subsidiary or with partner companies who can do this in their country. And then we have also, as Johannes already mentioned, we have national or regional member organization, biocyclic vegan member organizations who do the local support for the local farmers and who promote the whole system there. So in all this, we have also, this is something more technical. The work Johannes described is attached to a company which is also working for the sales of the products from Greece and Cyprus. It's BNS Biocyclic Network Services, and they also use do the training and organize whatever it needs to be, what he said, the green education, the green compass, the advising, if it's not done by the local companies. So when we are building it up, it's done by BNS, and they also do all the training of the inspectors, the local inspectors, etc. And there is also, now it's a kind of a legal system, because we need a label limited. That means also for the license contracts, for the cooperation contracts, for the use of the label, and so there needs to be some legal stuff which is just outsourced to this small company. It's more a formal aspect to have it everything in a good scheme. And all in this, you find the operator who is confronted to all this, but for him it's not complicated, because normally he talks to the member organization, he talks to his local control body, and at the end, when he is certified, he gets makes a contract with the label company, and he gets the certificate from the Ceres. And then it looks like a complicated scheme, but it is something which can be used everywhere. So it needs to be a very clear and transparent system. And if we just talk about the organization, the International Biocyclic Vegan Network, so we have organizations in different countries, like the German one, Förderkreis, which is responsible for the German-speaking countries. We have the one in France, which covers the French-speaking countries in Europe. We have the Dutch one, which is in Holland and Belgium, the Flanders part of Belgium. And we have the Panhellenic Biocyclic Vegan Network for Greece and Cyprus. And actually there also is a new one that has been grown, just founded in Sweden. And there are farms already certified in Italy, in Romania. In Brazil, we are preparing a certification for a cashew plantation, a cooperative. There are discussions with South Africa. There are discussions with Canada. We are going to do an inspection tomorrow for the Biocyclic Operation Index on the vineyard in Canada, for instance. And there is also some discussion ongoing in the UK, because there is also an association, Farmers for Stock-Free Farming, who are very interested in helping farmers to convert to vegan agriculture, and especially ex-dairy farmers. And there is this kind of cooperation they also want to help there. And we have the same kind of cooperation in a German world, where there is also an association that has been created, because there are many more and more farmers who keep animals and who have problems with this, who want to find new approaches. And so these associations help them to find a new approach. And one of them can be to convert to veganic farming. So this is just to see what the whole network is doing at the moment. And there is a map which has been established by our friends from France, Vegan France. And it's an interactive map which will be more and more developed for the different countries. Not all farms are registered there, but there will be more in the future. And just to see some examples of our farmers, so it ranges from small, like permaculture farms like in Sweden. You have also, as it is very diverse, it's not a technology, but we have different kinds of approaches. Like this is a CSA, a community supported agriculture farm near Berlin, Plant Age, which is a very beautiful project, doing all the vegetable boxes for Berlin and starting an online shop. We have apple growers in the south of Germany. We have a beautiful vineyard in Bergerac, southwest of France. There are others coming now in France also. There is large arable farms in Hungary and Austria doing pulses, beans, soybeans, and cereals. Like in Romania, there's a large farm about almost 900 hectares. So we can have it from very, very small to very big. It is really scalable to all possibilities. A recent farm in the polders in Netherlands, which is a 90-hectare farm for vegetables. It's a beautiful project. There is olive growers in Greece. There is Switzerland doing also vegetable and arable farming. Of course, in Cyprus, we have oranges and all beautiful fruits from the Mediterranean. And you can see different products once again from the different farms, even pomegranates. So everything is possible, squash and olive oil from Sicily, very beautiful too. Bananas even from Crete, so everything is possible. There's even, as I said, a cashew plantation, cashew cooperative, they are being certified very soon. And here you can see like apple juice, like wine, we're getting into processed products. So it's not only the farm products, but it's processed. And there is even a natural food company in Austria who are starting now to brand, to create a new biocyclic vegan brand for dried beans. So we are working in cooperations, which is very, very important because we need to get the products on the market. We need alliances and partnerships with all these companies. And they have already a cooperation with a supermarket, organic food chain in Austria, and they have it already on the shelves there. So this is what is really needed in the future. Actually, also working with a mill in Germany, which is preparing a biocyclic vegan brand for flour. And so this is going on now. But I want to talk a bit about the challenges in general. So for the farmers, it has been very clear we have to motivate them to convert to biocyclic vegan farming. And as it was said, through information, training, and support. And as I said, we have to develop distribution channels, because if they don't see a possibility of selling the products, then they won't be interested. They are, it's their existence, it's their survival. So they need to feel comfortable that there's a possibility that it is also economically viable. And this is why we also, with our different partner organizations, we try to get in touch with the food processing industry and the trade. And that, as I said, as I gave the example, to incite them to develop product lines for biocyclic vegan branding with biocyclic vegan raw materials, even not only for products like the beans or so, but even for processed, like if oat milk or tofu or tempeh for the vegan market, for instance, one day is declared as biocyclic vegan, all the others will understand, oh, it's our products which are declared vegan are not 100% vegan because they're not made from veganic raw materials. So there will be a revolution if the first companies start declaring their products as being from veganic production. So this is very important to work in this direction and to commercialize the products under the biocyclic vegan label. This is also why we have such a complex certification system, which also includes the processing industry. So this means it's not only vegan, it's not the farm to fork strategy, but it's a field to fork strategy. We want to call it 100% vegan from field to fork. But we have not to forget, it was already mentioned, the whole commercial system in agriculture is not very fair. So we have also to focus on other distribution channels, direct marketing, CSA, especially in the German area and Holland, they have started now to start online shops. So we can have vegetable boxes being sent through different distributors to get them on directly to the customers. You have the vegetable box schemes from the farms. So we need to come closer to the customer. But at the same time, we need to be also in the big market because we do not want to remain in a niche. We are not only grassroots, but we want also in the future to give it as an option for all kinds of agriculture. So this has to be developed in parallel. And we have to create awareness among the public so that they know about biocyclic vegan products and they know about the benefits. And we use all the channels which are there, which are available for this. And this helps to create a market demand, which again will give more motivation to the farmers. but we also have to work with science and to provide scientific evidence. We need all the discussion that we show it does exist, it is feasible, it has a right to exist, and it has a great potential for all the challenges we are facing. And on different aspects, we have been discussing this yesterday, and there have been very, very strong arguments in favor of organic and biocyclic vegan farming.
I'll just ask you, Axel, if you could just summarize and bring this to a close one more minute.
Yes, sure, yeah. So we work with the synergy and alliances with the different NGOs, that what is happening, and it's working very well because we share the same goals. And we have, of course, to create the awareness in the politics, and that is also part of this conference, that there's this immense leverage potential in biocyclic vegan agriculture in all the different aspects. And also one aspect, the animal welfare, even if in organic farming, we say we can save the world with organic regeneration, but nobody really thinks about the paradigm shift if we are still feeling comfortable in eating, killing and eating animals. So there's a new generation growing up, which also is more sensitive to these aspects. And this is just what I want to say for concluding it. And this is what our conference is doing, to also propose this approach to policymakers and to get it more in the mainstream. So we need visibility, being perceived as solution. And I mean, these are just some things which have been repeatedly said already, and this will motivate farmers to convert to biocyclic vegan farming. And what we do, we cannot wait for politics to make everything done, but we can just start smoothly and do what we know and help each other and grow gradually. And then politics will also become more conscious of what we are doing. And I think this is the message I want to leave with you for today. And I thank you very much for your attention. And yeah, we will go on discussing, and I'm looking forward to your questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Axel. And thank you to all of you for these very interesting presentations. I'll now move to the Q&A session because we have a number of questions that have come through from our audience. And let me first turn to Ian. There's a question for you here that I think could be very interesting in light of climate change and different pest problems we're facing. So the question is from Naomi Venlet. And she would like to know what is possible? What can you do if there is an emergency pest problem? Is there an emergency treatment you use or use like natural remedies? And do you risk losing a large part of your harvest if not?
Yeah, it's a good question. And, people are always concerned about pest diseases and weeds. We've been able to demonstrate over many decades that pest diseases and weeds are actually not really a threat. Once you've got a complete system in place, and we do have a system on the farm, we never, ever have a serious pest problem. There are occasions when something may happen, but it's never to the point where we've lost a crop. We are much more vulnerable to the weather than we are to pest diseases or weeds. There are a few pests which we haven't been able to control by biological means so far, and we're excluding those pests by covering crops with very fine covers. Pigeon damage is actually our biggest threat in terms of pests, so we do cover some crops during the winter, but we haven't had to resort to what we would call emergency techniques to control any particular pest or disease problem.
That's really encouraging to hear, and I wouldn't have thought of pigeons as being your worst pest, but it's very interesting to hear. We also have a question here for Tamara. This question is from someone, wow, with a very nice name, Tatiana von Reinbaben. Apologies for the pronunciations, probably, Tatiana. Tatiana would like to know what work you're doing, how you're trying to get this vegan certification recognized.
Right, thank you. Well, promotion is not a scope in itself in any type of activity or business. It is a process. It's something that you have to do all the time, knowing that you will never promote something enough so that everybody knows about what you're doing, what you're trying to say. For example, with general organic farming, there's never enough promotion, there's never enough people who know about it. So it's the same about the organic farming. It's a process that is carried out every day. And this conference is one example in which we are trying to explain the concept, to promote it, and to hope that this type of agriculture and certification will take wings. Partnerships are very important in a promotional effort, and partnerships with both certification bodies that might be interested in adopting, in using the standard, but also with consumer organizations such as, say, in England, the Vegan Society, who are able to explain to consumers what is veganic farming. And we don't want to put any vegans off by saying, oh, by the way, you are using vegetables that were grown with, animal milk. That's not the aim of it. The aim is to explain what a vegan product really means, what is the full cycle of that product, and how producers can be supported by demand, so that when the value chain asks for these products coming from consumers who understand that what they are actually eating is against their own vegan values, or from food processors or from retailers, that the promotional effort and impact will increase tremendously. So yes, it's also about symbols and labels that Axel mentioned. It's something that we constantly need to improve and use and talk about, so that people start recognizing the products rather than just reading about them.
Great, thank you. And on the theme of partnerships, we also have a question here. It's addressed either to Johannes or Axel, so I'm not sure which one would like to come in on this. But the question is about how companies could maybe help to offset their carbon emissions by supporting farmers who want to transition to biocyclic veganic farming. I wonder if either of you have a comment on that. Johannes, nodding. Johannes.
Yes, I would like to answer this question. And maybe I could answer this question in connection with the question of Federico Masson, who asks something about the nutritional value of plant-based grown food. These two questions are very different, but they are exactly sticking on the same point. So it has to do with the characteristics of humus soil. We just have to imagine and to know that the plant has two different ways how it can intake nutritional elements. The one is through the water, because the water it has to take in order to survive, and whatever is solved in the water is intaken by the plant also. But in nature, there are no water-soluble elements available. In natural ecosystems, it is still not the case, and plants grow. So obviously, plants have another mechanism to absorb nutritional elements which are not water soluble. And exactly that is what happened when they are grown in this fully ripe, nutritional stabilized and carbon stabilized material, which we call humus soil. So by doing this means that this material has already absorbed a huge amount of carbon, because it is the carbon structure, it is the grid which has been created after the microbiological digestion, which has taken place during the ripening process of a normal compost. After that, there is a carbon ripening process. And this carbon grid is so stable that it, on the one hand, it doesn't let any more water molecules let through to dissolve the nutritional elements. On the other hand, it keeps the carbon in the soil, and not only for 1 year, but for decades and even for centuries, as it has been proven with terra preta in the Amazonas. So by forcing a plant to intake the nutritional elements in this way, as it is foreseen by nature, you can imagine that the plant takes everything it needs when it needs, according to its development stage. And this is the turning point. These plants do not have deficiencies. They are nourished in a perfect way. They nourish themselves. We don't have to care about every single micro element or so. And we can, and it is obvious from the taste of these products, that these products have a higher content of nutritional elements for human consumption. This is object to scientific research. I agree. There has to be done a lot of work still, but the indications are so strong that I'm quite confident that the results will be very, very encouraging.
Great. Thank you very much. We'll just take one last question. Axel, perhaps I can ask you this question. We have a question from Francois Chantray, I think. And the question is that it seems obvious, apparently it seems obvious to him what the standard could bring, on top of being a conventional organic, the benefits it can bring at farm level. But what he would like to know is what this adds at the transformational stage, what kind of value, this added value, this standard will bring for transformation.
In general, transformation, I mean, we talked about this yesterday, that there is a lot of potential that regarding biodiversity, regarding climate situation, regarding nitrogen excess in the water and our health aspects. So these are all very, very strong arguments which will help for transformation of the whole food and agricultural system. And there's a strong leverage effect. If we think about the system of food and diet and plant-based diet, how much land we can save in order to rewild it or to use it for other purposes, because there's big competition also for renewable raw materials. So there is, we can have a whole new approach which leads to a more healthy environment, which leads to a more humane environment at the same time, which is not an industrial industry anymore, because we get in looking at all the biodiversity aspects, we can create a new kind of landscape even. So I think the whole idea of it is at the beginning, it is like a small seedling that is starting and trying out how it can grow, but it will definitely, as more it gets into the mainstream, the more it becomes, people become aware of it and they start using it. And then farms, small or big ones, start transforming. Like the example we have seen from Ian's farm in the UK, this will transform the whole life. And if you look also at the different sales, marketing, and distribution systems, closer from the farm, more closer to the customer who get involved. If you look at community supported agriculture, so all this can start a movement which is transformation in itself. So but we are just at the beginning, and this needs to continue now, and this needs to grow.
Or a small seedling to a big tree. Okay, thank you very much to all of you, all of the panelists here.